Hello, my name is John Mungo, and I'm the host of Rye Brook Focus. Today's topic is snow removal in the village. And to discuss the topic, we have three guests today. Michal Nowak, the Superintendent of Public Works and Engineering, Paul Vinci, the General Foreman, and Joe Basile, the Assistant Foreman. Welcome, guests. Michal, do you want to start us off? We have for first in this Rye Brook Focus program, we have some visuals. So Michal has some slides having to do with the equipment and the snow removal effort. And we're going to kind of walk our way through the slides and get some information about how the village manages snow removal and what's involved in doing the snow removal. Okay, Michal, you want to show your first slide?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mungo. Welcome, everybody. When it comes to operations of snow removal, we have approximately 13 employees who are available for snow removal, and they respond accordingly as needed. And they utilize a fleet of trucks, which I'm going to share here. Hopefully, everybody's able to see this. Are you able to see this, Mr. Mungo?
Yeah, I can.
So this is a picture of our fleet, a picture of our fleet within our new building, which was constructed a year ago. So as you see here, it's a combination of plow trucks and salters, and loaders and other equipment, which is afforded to our employees. So we have a number of large dump trucks, a number of small dump trucks, which are shown here in the middle, and smaller pickup trucks and a front end loader, which is shown here, available for snow removal. So at any given point, the highway department will utilize that equipment and go out on the road. As you saw in that picture, the equipment was ready to go. So that was after a previous event, but typically the plows are not on the trucks. The salt is not on the trucks, and we put that on right before a storm. So what we do here is, here's an example of one of our highway staff, actually two highway staff, loading a plow onto the forklift that's going to be put onto one of our large dump trucks. So typically we store them here off season in the back on the racks.
Yeah, Michal, one of the things we might mention for our listeners is how many large dump trucks are in the fleet, how many smaller trucks, and how many pickups?
We have approximately 5 to 6 large dump trucks, about 5 to 6 mid-sized dump trucks, and about 2 to 3 pickup trucks, which are available at any given time. Not all of them are out on the road at the same time, so we do mix and match as we go into a storm event or as needed.
Yeah, and as we've discussed, some of them are capable of putting down brine, some of them are capable of salting, but all are capable of plowing.
All our trucks are capable of plowing. 80% of our fleet is capable of being able to salt, and at this point, probably close to 75%.
Yeah.
Of our fleet is able to pre-wet our salt, and we have 2 trucks that are capable of brining our roads, which are afforded to the village. Okay, so typically before a storm event, here's an example of what we're doing. Our guys are installing all the plows are being installed on our trucks. We're checking the lights, the headlights, and the plow lights, all the warning lights. We check the plows for operation. We check all the hydraulics. So this is another angle of a truck. And this truck is able to plow, is able to salt, and it has pre-wet capabilities to pre-treat our salt. This truck, for example, also does double duty in the summertime, where this truck will be used for blacktop work. So they'll haul blacktop here in the back. They'll respond to storm damage. They'll haul tree debris away in here as well. So these trucks do multiple things. It's not just a single task as far as our trucks.
Also mulch or dirt.
And what you saw in the picture there was starting to get ready to put the plow on, but we also call it a pre-trip as well. So that's what Mike was saying. We look over all the lights and all that. We walk around the truck, make sure everything is secured, ready to go for an operation.
And if we need change, we install chains also on the tires.
Right. And Mike, you might, I don't know if you wanted on that photo or one other, you could point out the so many lights on these trucks and which are the plowing lights, for example.
Here's an example of another truck that we have in the fleet. So how we set up our fleet is for multiple tasks. So we gear them towards that as far as emergency response. So basically your truck comes outfitted with your regular headlights shown here, all your regular warning lights here. We have our LED plow lights up here in the front. We have all our warning lights all throughout the truck, all on the sides and in the back. And up top, what we also do is we install a floodlight, a work light. So these trucks are able to work in total darkness if they have to. And oftentimes they need the extra light when they're plowing or out in a storm event, because we don't know if we're going to be working on a road that has a street light on or not. So we try to go into the worst case scenario and set up our trucks as if they're going to go out into a real world scenario where there's no light, no power on the road, and we have to work, either remove trees or move debris out of a road where we're able to see what we're doing.
And we're learning because as time went on, we really didn't have these many storms. And now that we do, we need to stay with the times, with the lighting and stuff.
And Michael, you'd mentioned to me that the plow itself has been an upgraded blade that has a lot of advantages relative to what it replaced, both cost and efficiency advantages.
So here's an example of a plow that we have on a large dump truck. You'll notice these orange tabs on here. These orange tabs are carbide insert blades that are extremely durable. And we switched over a number of years on them. And I'll let Joe Vasile talk about them a little bit as far as why we did it and what the benefit is of them.
Well, life expectancy of the blade, just of that alone is, it's like what, 5 times the amount of a normal standard blade. Wear, strength, and basically they just clean a little bit better, I think, right?
Yes. So depending on what type of season we have and how much snow we get, we can burn through a blade because that's what's pushing on the road with the plow is a blade, and it wears down very, very quickly. With this new technology that we have, we can get up to 5 years on that. And what it does is the man hours just alone, because when you keep changing out the blade, it's a bunch of nuts and bolts, and it takes some time. So imagine going through your whole fleet can eat up a lot of hours on a day. So with the newer plows blades, we get more manpower doing something else opposed to that, because we get a good 5 years out of them.
Yep, and as mentioned, we are able to get about 5 years out of these blades. They are pricey. They're anywhere from $1,500 to $1,800 a blade per truck, compared to about $300 a blade. But in the long run, these blades are on the truck for about 3 to 5 years. So you're now wasting your man hours replacing them in the middle of a storm, because that's usually what happens is during the middle of a storm, they got to be replaced. Or something happens. So we're getting a lot more life out of these blades compared to your old steel blades.
Okay.
So on the question of the brining, we have 2 trucks that do brine, and as part of that, we are fortunate to have a brine system as of last year, and we currently have full capabilities of brining our roads and pre-wetting, so we don't rely anymore on obtaining our material from Westchester County, which we used to do where before a storm event, we would have to go to the county, get material, come back, fill up our tanks, and then go out on the road and brine. So what we have now is this particular setup here where we have our brine truck, which has a 1,600-gallon tank on it. It's able to brine a number of roads in one pass. We have our Brine Maker here on the left-hand side that's able to take our rock salt, mix it with water, process it, and dilute it to a solution of 23.3%. And then we're able to fill up our tanks with that material. So we have 3 tanks with liquid sodium chloride, which is rock salt, and we maintain 1 tank of what's called EnviroBrine, which is a calcium magnesium blend that we use to pre-wet our salt, and that allows us to melt at lower temperatures because rock salt only works down to 20 degrees. So below 20 degrees, it needs an additive. It needs some kind of assistance to start the melting process. And that's where the trucks having the pre-wet capabilities, they're able to pre-wet the salt that's coming out of the back of the truck, and they're able to apply that calcium magnesium blend and start the melting process a lot earlier and get the roads down to black much quicker.
And they always start putting on the brine well before the storm arrives, right?
We try to do it as much ahead as possible. Sometimes there are constrictions that come into play. If the roads are wet from a previous event or it rained, we can't brine the roads, okay? Because the roads have to be dry because the solution has to dry and leave salt behind. I'll show you a picture of the truck filling up, and Joe Vasile is here, and he drives this truck, so he could explain what's happening here in the photo.
Right now, we got one of the guys that's filling up the tank from those main tanks you saw on the wall into our brine tank itself for the truck. So we have a pump that'll pump it in. Once that's pumped in, I can go on the road and start brining the roads while these guys make another batch for me. So when I'm done with this load, I can come back, fill up. It's kind of like a pit crew. They fill me up. I go back on the road, start and keep going down, as many roads as I can with that tank. And, and just, we keep in contact. They fill up once they're ready to almost dump. If they don't fill the truck up, I'll come back and load up again.
Here's an example of what Chris is talking about. This is on one of our roads here in town.
I want to pull this up.
Right. See,
Hold
we're
on
not
one
seeing
second. I'm
that.
going to try to pull it up here for you. Are you able to see that?
Yeah.
All right. So Joe, you able to explain that? So what are we doing here?
So right now, there we go. On big wide roads, I'll be able to see the water, the brine spraying on the outside. So I'm able to get a big portion of the road with this new truck versus just the middle of it like we used to, like our other truck does. So I can go down less passes, less swipes versus just the middle. Instead of getting the road like 3 times, I can go down twice and move on to another road.
And this truck has the capabilities of doing only the middle of the road, either the left side or the right side, or do everything in one pass. At this application rate, we're applying about 30 pounds of rock salt per lane mile. And the purpose of this is to prevent the bond with ice and the roadway. That is the key here with pre-treating a road. It's to allow the highway department time to get our crew in. It's to prevent the bond between snow and ice and blacktop or pavement. And it allows us the chance to use less amount of salt the first time out salting, because we typically salt anywhere from 150 to 300 pounds per lane mile, depending on what's happening in a storm event. So with roads pre-treated, we're able to go with a lower amount, 150 to 200 pounds. Thus, you save 100 pounds per mile per truck, which in a storm event becomes a significant savings.
And hopefully get the roads down to black a lot quicker than we used to.
And just when you fill up the truck and go out, how many miles can you cover typically?
Mileage. I could do it by roads, not by mileage. So I know one full tank, let's put it this way. One full tank will get me just the main roads complete. Not any developments, not secondary roads, like Ridge Street, South North, Westchester Avenue, Bowman Avenue, King, High Street, Anderson Hill. That one tank should get me just to that point where I'm complete. And then, so the village takes about, I want to say four to five tanks of my truck. I want to say four, more or less, to complete the entire village. You know, complete to my standards. In a sense of curb to curb, in a sense, but pretty much we can get it done with that amount, you know, so 16, 15 times, you know, say.
That's about 8,000 gallons.
Yeah, 3, 6, 7, yeah.
Are you able to explain what roads we do first when we start brining? What's our approach when we start brining?
Depends on the storm and how quick we get out there. So hopefully, you know, we have, like you said, if the ground's wet, we have to wait a little bit. But sometimes if we at least get the main roads, and then once we get those and we have the time, we do hills, bridges, and you know, all the bridges are included. Hills, schools, all the, you know, main areas, secondary main roads. And then from there, we start getting all the side roads if we have the time. But you know, high traffic areas, let's put it this way. Definitely secondary main roads and around schools for sure. And then moving forward from there, and then we start from one side and end up with the other.
Because once it starts, just to make this clear to myself, once it starts snowing, that's it. You don't put any more brine down.
No, we try to do it the day before at least it snows, not the day
Right.
of, you know, because it'll give it the, you know, that curing time instead of drying time. That's why you see, when you drive, you'll see that actually looks like white frosted lines on the road.
Right.
That's it drying and crystallizing and giving it that layer that you need between the snow and the blacktop.
I mentioned to Michael that I used to live in Westchester, but moved for business in 2003, coming back when brining was hardly ever done, as near as I could tell, and got back here in about 2018, when now every storm, you see that at King Street, Anderson Hill Road, typically is receiving brine. When did the big turnover occur, or was it pretty gradual that the investment was made in the brining and people now do it routinely?
On our end, it was a gradual investment. We had some older trucks that had tanks on them that back in the day did use liquid, and we used those tanks and we were able to reutilize the trucks and modify them. Now, when we slowly started doing it, probably around 07, 08, about 08, we really kind of started picking up on it when we partnered up with Westchester County and we started to get the material afforded to us because we didn't have any capabilities at that point.
Right.
So then we slowly bought a brine truck, a small truck, a tank sprayer that was able to go on a small dump truck. And we started small. We had a tank which we would fill up, and that would hopefully hold us up for 1 or 2 storms. And then as we bought our new trucks, we started outfitting them with pre-wet capabilities on them. And that's what you see here in the photo, is that this is a truck that has pre-wet capabilities on the side. So here's one tank, and there's tanks on both sides. These are 200-gallon tanks on each side. Here's your control box. Here are your hoses. They all go into the back of the truck, and either in the back or in the middle are augers that move material, and we're either able to mix that material either in the auger and make it a paste, a slurry, and spread it, or we're able to pre-wet the salt itself as it comes out of the truck, drops, it's coated. So we're able to adapt on the fly based on what the weather is doing. So this took ever since 2012, when we started to buy our newer trucks, until now to upgrade. It's a slow process, but we're there.
Okay.
But the same way that we've upgraded our smaller dump trucks. Here's an example of one of our small dump trucks that has a wing plow on it. This is a truck that does a double duty or triple duty, because and this truck does blacktop here in the back. It's able to plow in the front. We have a side plow that adds about another 5 to 7 feet of clearing width when it's extended outwards. And this truck also has the liquid capability built into it here on 2 tanks on either side. What you notice here is what's called an iPack, a toolbox that goes the full width of the truck. And in here, the guys carry chainsaws, chains, hand tools, hammers, sledgehammers, rakes, whatever is needed to respond to a storm. This particular truck is able to respond to pretty much any of our storm events, and not be worried that we can't handle it because we don't have a chainsaw or we don't have a hammer or something.
And if you notice where our warning lights are, we also have spotlights like on the larger truck, on our midsize as well, because these trucks also are in any type of bad weather.
Okay.
We have spotlights up top. We have some spotlights here shining out towards the front side of the truck on either side so that the scene is illuminated. We have some lights in the back. And a lot of people will ask, well, why do I see a plow truck drive down the road and there's white lights, spotlights shining in the back? And I'll let you guys explain. What's the purpose of the lights shining backwards on a salter truck or a plow truck?
It allows us to see the salt come out and how it's spreading. Because when you go down the road, you want to see your fan where it's spreading evenly. And it also allows us, if we have any jams in it or so, because sometimes something will get clumpy in the load and not allow the salt to come out, and you lose that capability of it fanning and doing curb to curb. So you're able to get the road evenly. So that's why we call that a salt light, and you're able to monitor as you go down out the window or at the mirror, and able to see the salt.
Also for safety, if I have to pull over and like say adjust something on my truck, I have lights. I can see where I'm going. I can see where I'm walking, and somebody driving can see me. You know, that they know they see somebody outside the truck. You know, it helps out tremendously. And you need those lights at night because to get out and even put a wire tie somewhere. You know, we carry wire ties in our truck in the cab in case something gets loose. Get out, you zip it up, and you're off back on the road again. You know, and before there was 4 lights on the truck. You know, there were strobe lights. Now they're lit up, and that's what we need.
So talking about the lights, are you guys able to explain to the viewers what is it like to drive the truck for 12 hours a night? I'm not going to say a day, but a night, with snow coming down. All your flashing lights are on. Your plow lights are on. Explain to the viewers what you see or how challenging this is. Is it challenging or is it?
It's great. I recommend it to everybody. It is. You know what? It's
a lot slower operation.
That's a lot slower. We don't fly.
It's a lot slower operation.
Him and I are on the main roads. We go. Right. You know, we have to go slow because if we go too fast, then the snow starts coming over the plow, right, and starts hitting our windshields, and we can't see anything at all.
The biggest thing is we understand everybody's out working and they have busy lives. So we're sharing the road and they have to share the road with us. So our main goal is to get as much snow as we can off to the road, off to the curbside. So they're able to come, you know, to and from work and whatever activities they got to do. So so as long as they understand why we're out there and the reason why we're out there, it's awesome that we're able to do what we need to do and get everybody home safe to and from. But yes, it's slow moving. And you'll even see us plow and salt at the same time, depending on hills. So sometimes we have some bad hills where we have your traffic light. And as we drive through, you'll see us actually salting as well as plowing. So it gives somebody else in the car some traction, so they don't slip and slide. So we can be on the other side of town and not have to come back. Hey, there's, you know, what's going on over here? There's too much traffic. So so there's multiple things that we're doing as we're plowing.
Perfect
Right.
example. You have Westchester Avenue. I don't know if you guys are, you know, you come to a traffic light by the middle school, Westchester Avenue, you hit that snow patch, you're stuck. So we'll come through, we'll plow, and as we're plowing, we'll salt to try to get a little bit black on the road to get traction going, so we're not having traffic jams or cars sideways, or, you know, we try to keep maintaining it, you know, along with that, and all the other guys the same way. You know, we just try to keep it going, so we're not getting, then you have to call the cops, you have to call fire to come out there, then it just becomes a headache, so we try to keep it as clean as we can.
So as it's coming down like crazy, like blizzard-like conditions, if it's hard for you to drive, it's also hard for us to drive. So now we're going extra slow. And then we also have to be concerned about if it's going to ice. So it all depends on what type of storm we're getting, determines whether we put chains on the tires. What that does is gives us grip, so we go up and down the hills. Like an example is Westchester Avenue. You don't think of it as a hill as you're coming back by, Chris was saying, by the middle school. But even that is tough sledding for us to come up there. So with that, like High Street, even going up is not so bad, but coming down can be slippery.
With all that
So,
weight,
yeah.
you have all that weight behind you coming down with,
Yeah.
you know, a load of salt. You know, you don't realize it until you're hitting the brakes and your wheels lock up.
All right. Right, you
So-
don't actually, as just a citizen, as it were, you don't really think about that. But I see, as you say it, it's really quite an important factor.
And so now when we're out there doing this, you don't realize, you know, a lot of time goes by. 6 hours go by, 8 hours go by, you know, so yeah.
And also a lot of the trucks nowadays have a lot of new items included on them, which are safeties. Most particularly the windshields nowadays are different on the trucks. And I'll let the guys talk about the windshields. The seats in the truck are different than your regular car seat, and I'll let them talk about it. And do you guys want to talk about a little bit about the technological changes that have helped you guys in your new trucks?
Yes.
Well, like the windshields,
Yeah.
the LED headlights.
So a lot of the cars that we have, you have a rear defroster, right? Everybody's used to using a rear defroster. Well, we have a front defroster that go alongside of the pillars
And all the
of the windshield and along the bottom, because that's where all the ice builds up. So over the years, technology got better, and I guess people like us complaining to the manufacturers. So they put that strip in what you have on your rear window, on the front window along the side where we call the pillars, and along the bottom where your windshield wiper blades are. So what that does is helps for ice buildup, because when you're driving, it accumulates there, and it also comes off the front of the plow. And this helps melt that away, so we don't have to keep getting out and scraping it and stuff. So that's a big helpful thing. We have what's called air ride seats. They're just what it is. It's air ride. It's an airbag underneath the seat that gives you the flexibility. It bounces with the truck as you're going over the road, so it's not so stiff. So it's a little easier of a drive. It's not so hard of a drive.
on your back.
Yeah, it's on your back and stuff, because you're in the truck. I mean, we're basically living in a truck for the whole duration of the storm. So
Right.
be as comfortable as possible.
It sounds like it's physically challenging for the people involved to do the snow removal and the de-icing and whatnot. It occurs over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And not much rest in that period.
Well, we actually call it the snowplow operation. So before we get into even snow plowing, we're watching the storm come out. So we're on the phone with Mike, and we're watching the TV, watching the news like everybody else. So we're always planning 5 days out, and we're working up to that day. And at that point, we're actually starting to check the trucks now. As the storm comes, either we put the plows on, we check to make sure there's no breaks in it, meaning if it needs a small repair or so. So we're always 5 days out getting ready for the event. And then that's when Another part of the crew will start brining, getting the brine ready. He'll go out with the brine truck. So behind the scenes, there's a lot of things going on, plus keeping a daily operation going, because we always get phone calls about other things that are happening in the village. So we're all tying this together right up to the moment we're getting ready to plow. So there's a lot behind the scenes that nobody realizes, and challenging as well, because we're trying to keep the clock, get to that storm, and we only have so many days, you know? So, yeah.
And usually the day after, we'll start washing the trucks. Like we wash them down complete to get everything off, and that's when we inspect. While we're washing, we can inspect if we have something hanging, something loose,
To get welded.
you know,
Something's
needs to get welded, or my plow is not, or hydraulic, anything. We check it while we're doing that, or, you know,
Because we're getting ready for the next
next
storm.
storm up.
'Cause,
Right.
Even if we don't plow, we'll go out and salt. We also have what's called a salt event, where there's not enough snow on the ground, where you get, I always say the word wrong, snow squall.
Squall, yeah.
Squall, where you're not pushing the snow. You just have to go out and coat the roads. So we go out and salt. So we call that a salt operation. So we're getting ready for that as well. Whatever Mother Nature throws at us, we have to be ready and prepared for it.
So everybody asks, well, what's your view like in the truck? And I got a couple of pictures here. We'll show you some pictures of what these trucks look like on the inside. They're no longer your very simple trucks. They're very complicated trucks. So not only are the guys operating the trucks, they're driving, they're watching out for traffic, they're watching out for cars cutting them off. They have to operate the salter, they have to operate the plow, they have to operate the radio. And I'm not talking about the AM/FM radio, I'm talking about the two-way radio. Okay, so here's an example of what the plow truck looks like on the inside. Paulie, do you want to explain what all of this stuff is inside the truck?
Okay, if we start from the top, we work from the top down. That's the salter controller plus pre-wet controller. It's all in one. So the blue button to the far right is the spinner, and then the green button is the auger. So as we go along, we can change the pattern of salt, meaning the amount of salt that's coming out. Mike talked about it before, 200 pounds, 150 pounds, depending on how the storm is coming down, the snow's coming down, I'm able to regulate that. So if we move to the next one, you see 3 shifters there. That's my plow up and down, that's my plow left or right, and that's my dump body to the far right, meaning that when the salt goes in the body, I'm able to offload it. If you go below that, that's the camera system. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, how about these little buttons here?
Yeah, I'm
What are
sorry.
those?
Those are my emergency lights. So those are all the LED lights, those are the working lights, so everybody on the road is able to see me coming or going. And then below, then to my far right is my air temperature and ground temperature, which is very crucial during a snow event. Tells me whether I have to pre-wet or I can hang off and not do it and just wait. So that top number is the air, which you see there is 64, and then the road, which is the ground temperature, is 60. This so happens to be inside, that's why it's so warm. But when I bring it outside, it will register very, very quickly. So that's where we're on the phone with Mike all the time saying, hey, this is where I'm at, this is what we're gonna do, what do you think? Let's look at our charts. Yes, the charts say this, and we start doing our pre-wet with the salt on the road. Then below that is the camera. I have 3 cameras on that truck. And what it allows me to do is see what's happening. So the top far left is the grate, the top of the grate. That tells me how much salt I have in it, so I don't have to keep climbing up on the truck. So if it gets too low, I'll know. I'll be able to see that I'm getting empty. Below that is my spinner. I actually watch the salt dump into the spinner and start spreading it on the road. That's what I was saying before, getting curb to curb. Plus I have that salter light outside. I'm able to look outside my window in the mirror and be able to determine that as well. And then the far right is further back, so I can see other cars behind me and how close they are. And my two-way radio is in there as well, that we communicate with everybody on the road. I'm able to contact any truck that's on the road, and if we need any emergency service, I'm able to actually contact the police department with that too on a different frequency.
What are the protocols for changing the mix? You know, you had all those controls about what mix you might have. Is that at the discretion of the driver, or is it discussed among all the drivers? How does that work?
Yes, yes, all the above.
And the storm.
And the storm.
So put it this way, that last storm we had, where we had a 7-inch storm in 24 hours. It was like the long dragging storm, okay? That snow was like, it started off light and fluffy and then it ended up like wet and packed. Okay? So we were just plowing and we would plow and leave a sheen. It was like making the snow polished on the road. So you have to change from when you started. When you started, the salt was flying on the, you can put it low and let it fly. This one, we had to add a little more weight, right? We upped the wet on it. And so we brought the ratio of the wet higher to, the salt. So this way, when it would hit to the road, it would activate faster and we were actually getting it down to black, towards the end a lot sooner because that one was a really tough storm.
So it's a combination of all the above. Whoever's on the road, we're plowing and has a salting capability. We're on the two-way radios talking back and forth. We're on the phones. We're watching my air and ground temperature to determine that as well. And just seeing after you make one round through your route, determining whether it's leaving that sheen behind or not.
And experience.
Yeah.
And knowledge of, doing it for so long.
What people don't realize is that there is a science behind it. There are tables and charts that tell you what to do based on snowfall, air temperature, ground temperature, moisture content of salt, what the duration of the event is. And we're constantly on the phone with each other. So it's not that it's 2 a.m. and the guys are just off on their own. We're constantly checking with each other. We're constantly on the phone almost every 2 hours or so and just checking, seeing what's going on. So what these trucks allow us to do is to change with the snow event, whether it's a light and fluffy snow with no moisture and we need to add the liquid, or if it's a heavy wet snow with temperatures coming up where we don't have to apply as much salt or liquid at all. We're constantly changing. So there is a science behind it. Here I'm going to show you a video of what it's like to be in a truck while driving in the middle of a storm. So I'll let Paulie talk about this. Where is this, Paulie?
That's Upper King Street.
But I'm not seeing it, Mike. I'm not seeing it.
You're not able to see that?
No.
Hold on. Yep, that's up by Belfair.
Yes.
There you go.
You able to see that?
Yep.
That's Upper King Street by Belfair, one of our developments, which is the north part of the village.
So basically, as you see, he's got a heavy snowpack on the road, snow falling, his plow lights are on, his warning lights are on, windshield wipers are going. It's 3 a.m. They're tired. They're driving 20 miles an hour. Plus, they're trying to see where is the curb line so that they don't damage the plow or the trucks. This is a typical site after 12 hours of driving. This is what it looks like.
And this, I think we looked at this video before, you and I, Mike. This has not got the brightest lights on it, right? The ones mounted at the very top.
Are your top lights
No,
on?
they're not.
No, in this scenario, no, they're not. Those warning lights, well, I'm sorry, those work lights on top of the trucks are very, very bright. And in theory, they are not DOT rated to be legally on with traffic, but they are on and they are afforded to the guys if they so need it. And they have the right to use them in the storm event with responsibility and safety in mind. Now I'm going to show you a video that's at the other end of the village, I believe.
Let me just ask one more question about the prior video. How far ahead were you able to see? Was that maybe 100 yards or so?
Yeah,
Depends.
it depends.
Sometimes you get 100 feet.
Yeah.
Even, like sometimes you only get to see the plow in front of you. That's about it, depending on the storm.
You know,
Oh,
when you
right,
call
yeah.
whiteout. Once you get that whiteout, you can barely see in front of you. I mean, you're actually crawling on the road at that point. Because it's coming down so heavy and so fast. You don't want to lose sight of the road. So
Right.
it's all about judgment now. Everything actually comes down. Everybody gets a lot slower. They'll even stay back a little bit more from me. And we're constantly talking on the two-way about, the road condition. And then I'm actually checking in with the guys too, telling them, hey, here's the whiteout now. So just be really cautious.
Or I'll be behind them and I'll tell them get more in the middle so I can get more of the, like, we'll just keep going back and forth. Like I'll say, stay more left so I can get right, or grab more of the road, or come in, or salt, we just constantly.
Right.
So here's another angle for you. Let me see if I can pull this up. Let's see.
There you are.
Now, where is this? Westchester Avenue?
Yep, that's what she's having going towards Bowman.
Yes.
So here you see it's hard to see the curb line. I'll pause it here. Here it's hard to see the curb line, and a lot of times the guys will hit the curbs with the plows, but they're trying to find markers. Like over here you see a catch basin in the grate. So the guys are trying to see these markers as they're plowing, and here's the edge of the road, and trying to stay off of it as much as possible. But unfortunately, sometimes we do hit them, and we got to come back and fix them. So, but this is just another angle from another side of the village.
Right.
And that there, as you see, there's the island there on Westchester Avenue, so we gotta be cautious about that too when you're plowing.
Correct.
We've got your children up, Mike.
Yeah, I'm trying to get you back up here. That's right. Those are my
Future employees.
those are my supervisors. I'm
Not the
trying to get you
relief
up.
drive.
They have the power wheels with the plow.
Well, I'm trying to get you guys up here. Having some difficulties here. Here we go. Are we still sharing?
Still the picture of your children.
I don't want to. There we go.
Now I just see you guys.
There you go.
All right.
Well, I'll put the kids back on. They're cuter. But that's an example of our operation. At the same time, while we're getting ready for storms, what people don't realize is our day-to-day operation is still happening. So, this is an example of one of our dump trucks with our staff going around and still collecting the Christmas trees, while you see here the road was brined by another truck. So
Right.
We're doing 3 different things all the way up to the storm event. We're multitasking. Our catch basins are being fixed. Our Christmas trees getting picked up. We're changing out stop signs while we're brining, and we're getting our other equipment ready. So the highway staff do a lot of work for the short amount of people that we have.
Right.
They do a great job, and I'm proud of them.
Could we just go back for a second to how people adjust and what kind of rest they get, where they get their meals during one of these snow events where, maybe after having worked during the day, you're working overnight. As a couple of these videos and whatnot have shown, 2 a.m, whatever. So tell me how you adjust to that. I mean, I know there must be some rest periods. You'll need food. How does it, what happens? What are the procedures?
I mean, we all come in together,
We'll eat together. We all come
we
in
all-
together.
We
eat
all
together.
call everybody off the road at once, like if we're gonna have a dinner, like we'll set a time. And, we'll see what's open, try to get something, and then everybody come in at this time, there's one gonna eat. So we all come in, we all eat, and then everybody's kind of accounted for. So we know
Right.
that everybody's okay, everybody's good, and then from there we get another game plan after that, or we rest a little bit, and then go back out.
A lot of times too, guys come in, need something to drink, they'll get a cup of coffee, or if they had a minor breakdown, we have a mechanic in the shop, as he's making a quick repair, they're going up, grabbing, we always have some type of dessert or so, like cakes and cookies and stuff, they'll grab a cup of coffee, or if they come in to fuel up, at times we have to come in and fuel up, have a long duration. Or if they're just tired, just come out off the road and just take a breather. A lot of times too, while you're coming in, if you have to use the bathroom or fuel up, we'll go look at the weather as well to see what's going on, how much further the storm is. Is it peak? Is it on us? Is it not? And then once again, on the phone, communicating. So yeah, most of the time it's kind of like a little bit of your discretion. But we're all in communication. Everybody, if somebody's gonna come off the road, they always letting us know, giving us a call. So everybody's accounted for. And if even you break down, we're always giving a phone call, hey, I'm down and whatnot. How bad is it? How severe? Do we have to change out and get another truck? You know, so we're always in communication with all the staff that are working.
All right. And would there be, for example, somebody comes in and says, I'm really tired. Are there cots available where you could take a nap?
We have lounge chairs. You're able to
Okay.
sit on a lounge chair and just, yes, you're able to do that. Right, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, we make it a point to bring in the guys off the road if the conditions are unsafe. If you have a full whiteout, we'll bring guys in maybe for an hour or two and they'll take a nap. But once again, we're in constant communication, double checking on guys. I'm constantly calling into these guys, checking on them. These guys are calling out to the other guys on the radio. I'm watching the weather forecast. It's a team effort. Everybody
Right.
watches each other. And if someone doesn't respond, well, then we reach out and maybe get the cops involved. Hey, can you go and see in that area? Or they'll come off the road and off their route and go and check into another route and see what happened.
These are the same guys that you see from the start. You'll see them at the end. There's no crews.
Right.
So we start and we finish together.
And each one is responsible for an area in the village. So we know where everybody is. So that's why it's easier if something happens or so, we know where to start looking, you know.
Right.
And then we'll do the same thing during, depending on when the storm hits, we'll all come in for lunch and have lunch together, or even breakfast. It all depends on the type of storm and how it hits us, where we'll all come in and have breakfast or so. So, yeah.
Yeah, a multi-day storm must be tough.
Yes, yes, it is. One of our tougher ones, yes. Because you have a lot of people still at work, you get school letting out. So there's periods, so you know when the rush hour is basically, morning rush hour and the evening rush hour. So yeah, it's just a little more, a little slow going. You know, our main goal is to get everybody home, get the roads open, get them salted, get everybody home.
Okay. Mike, you have any more pictures you want to show, or?
No, that's all I got for you.
Okay, well, this has been quite interesting. You know, the purpose was to show people what it takes in the village to have an effective snow removal effort, an effective safety effort. I think you've really done that quite thoroughly today. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Michael, Paul, and Joe, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right.